Hi, I'm Jerry Bannister, and I'm here in this beautiful park on this early spring day to talk about the recorder referendum. The reason we know we're in a city park and not in somebody's backyard is because a deed was recorded a couple blocks away up the Kendall County Recorder's office. Right now the clerk is also the recorder, but one of the main functions of the recorder's office that I'd like you folks to know about is it lets us know who owns property. And it lets the world know what can and can't be done with the property, who owns the property, and what judgments and liens may be on that property. So for instance, if you want to go buy it, you know if you can use it for what you intend to use it for. It's very important that a specialist takes care of that office. Without a specialist taking care of that office, we can make a mistake on who owns the property, where the lines are, what the restrictions are, how those properties can be used. And that's why I'm asking you to vote no on March 20th so we can get a specialist in that office to do that job. The reason I chose this site to talk about the referendum is because I think the river is an excellent metaphor for what's going on in the recorder's office. Back in the 60s and 70s and even earlier than that, the river was getting polluted terribly. One person who went by the name of the Fox stood up to the corporations and let the people in this whole area know how bad things were getting. And that's kind of what I'm doing here. The general public doesn't know how bad the recorder's office has gotten. The Fox knew it then on the river, and I'm telling you that the recorder's office is getting that bad now. But now, because the Fox took the time to do that, because I'm taking the time to do this, we have a river where people are willing to dunk their heads in it. And that's because someone paid attention, and he finally got the people to listen, and now we have a river that everybody can be proud of. I'm not saying that my crusade to become the recorder and to improve the recorder's office is anywhere near as important as what the Fox did. But I am saying it is something that people need to pay attention to, and we need to do it now before it gets even worse. To carry the river metaphor even further, I'd like to point out how the river is low right now. We didn't have a lot of snow this winter. We aren't going to have a spring runoff. And that's the same thing with Kendall County's economy, well, the nation's economy actually. But Kendall County is still the great place it always was. And when the economy picks that back up, we're going to grow again. The river floods. We know it's going to flood again. And is it better to buy sandbags ahead of time, or is it better to rush to buy sandbags in the middle of the storm? One of my favorite sayings is proper planning prevents poor performance. It's hard to say even though it's one of my favorites. And so what I'd like to do is get into the recorder's office now, get good systems in place, get good training in place, make sure we're ready this time for the onslaught that'll happen when the economy improves, instead of, again, always reacting in the middle of the storm. We need to be ready this time. We can turn something from a negative into a positive. That's what I'm trying to do with the recorder's office here. By definition, a combined office of clerk and recorder is a part-time job. It needs to be a full-time job. Kendall County's population is almost twice the statutory requirement of 60,000 for the office to be split off. And I think it's time we get a full-time specialist in there so we can use forethought, ingenuity, and a proactive attitude to do the right thing for the people of Kendall County. And that's what happened with this river project. Part-time isn't good enough anymore. Kendall County is too big to be small. We need to split the office on March 20th by voting no on the recorder referendum. That does sound a little counterintuitive, but the way the referendum is worded, it's shall the clerk continue to do the duties of the recorder. And I say no. I want it to be a full-time position. I want to do the job, and I promise to work very hard, tirelessly, to make this an office that you can be proud of. And another bonus, it will not cost extra tax dollars to do this. The office is supported by fees. Whenever any of those documents I talked about earlier are recorded, a fee is collected. There's also state and county transfer stamps. Much of that money has to reside in the recorder's office only for the office of the recorder. It can't go anywhere else. It's basically a self-supporting office, and no additional funds are needed. The specialist needs to be in charge, and I'm asking you to please vote no on March 20th on the recorder referendum so a specialist can finally get in there and do the job and do it in a way that you'll be proud of. To find out more information, please go to www.jerrybannister.com, JERRYBANNISCER. I also have a website where I've done some audio programs on WSBY. That's WeNeedARecorder.com, www.WeNeedARecorder.com. You can email me questions at recorderjerry@gmail.com. And you can find blogs that I've done on the patch. I've done 5 blogs. There might be another one going up this weekend. I think you'll find them very informative, and I hope you agree with me. Thank you for listening.